Americans count on nearly 10 million trucks to deliver the goods and services we need every day. If you could line them up end to end, they would stretch a distance of over 49,000 miles. That's twice around the globe. Trucks are such a vital part of our lives that it's hard to imagine life without them. But all these trucks would be absolutely useless without one key element: the driver. Truck drivers carry a heavy load, no pun intended, a heavy load of responsibility for vehicles that, if not operated and maintained properly, can be deadly. Drivers of all vehicles are responsible for driving safely, but truck drivers have more stringent requirements. Because they are on the road for many more hours than most passenger vehicle drivers, truck drivers have more exposure to the potential for accidents. And because trucks are heavier than passenger vehicles, their impact force can be greater in a collision. When it comes to safe driving, there is no substitute for knowing the rules of the road. But there is one aspect of driving a truck that is very difficult to regulate, and it may be the most dangerous part of driving. That is driver distraction. Distractions are everywhere. They are in the outside environment and the inside environment. Electronic devices add increasingly to the barrage of things that call for our attention. Devices that we count on to do our jobs, to operate the vehicle, and to keep us comfortable. While these technologies help make our jobs easier, they can also take our focus away from where it should be, on the road and the traffic ahead of us. Recent studies show that 20% of injury crashes involved distracted driving. That's 1 in every 5 accidents. While accidents overall are decreasing, the percentage of accidents related to distraction are increasing. When your vehicle is moving, it can take only a split second of inattention to have an accident. If you are driving with a passenger, your potential for distraction increases. Now, you not only have electronic devices and the usual roadside attention grabbers, you have a person sitting beside you who can take your attention away from the road. If you are in your work truck, your passenger is most likely a coworker. You will be inclined to have conversations. Carrying on a conversation with a passenger can be an extreme distraction. Be aware that you are distracted when you are talking. Your mind is on your topic of conversation.
I work for a construction company and I drive the company van. You know, it started out as pretty much a normal, typical day, and we were leaving one job site that we were wrapping it up, and my assistant and I, Brandon, were heading to the next job site to deliver some equipment. And I was driving, and on the way we started discussing what we had, what we needed for the next job. And I remember at one point during our discussion, I turned to Brandon to make a point. And it seemed like it was only a second, 2 seconds tops. And I remember I looked back and I hadn't realized that the light had changed at this intersection and there was a silver car directly in front of me. And I hit the brakes immediately, but it was just so quick that there was no way I could stop. When we got to the front of the vehicle, the van had just smashed the whole driver's side of the vehicle, and it was an elderly gentleman just slumped over the steering wheel, and I could see there was some blood on his arm, and I pretty much thought I killed him. Unfortunately for everyone involved, the paramedics showed up, and it could have gone such a different way. I can't even tell you how it would have felt if he would have died, or if there would have been a family or mother and kids involved, and how many lives could have been destroyed by 2 seconds.
Remember, the conversation can wait. There is nothing you can say that is so important that you should risk having an accident. The question we must all ask ourselves is this: What can I do to keep myself from driving distracted? The answers are not easy. The answers involve change, changing our behavior. Changing our behavior is never easy. As a perfect example, we still have drivers who don't fasten their seatbelts. How long have seatbelt laws been in effect? How long have we known that seatbelts save lives? And yet, there is still some resistance to changing that behavior. Now, we have developed complete new sets of behavior around the electronic devices that have become our working lifelines. And those behaviors can be as deadly as not fastening your seatbelt. Let's break it down. When using any electronic device, the vehicle should not be moving. Period. Stop. Pull over and park if necessary while you make that call, text, or update to your system. The few extra moments it takes may prevent you from having an accident. It could save your life or the life of another person.
That afternoon, I was getting ready to start dinner. It was about 4:30 in the afternoon, and the TV was going, and Philip came in and said that he was going to go for a bike ride. And I told him to make sure he was back within the hour because dinner was going to be ready. And he came up and gave me a hug and kiss goodbye, and ran out the front door, grabbed his bike, and off he went. And that was the last I saw of him. From what I was told, he was riding his bike in the bike lane on a wide open road, not heavily trafficked area. It was well lit, it was in the afternoon. The truck came up behind him and hit him from behind, and he never saw it coming. Well, when we got the final report, there was a lot of speculations, but the final outcome was the driver had been texting and was not paying attention and didn't see my son on the side of the road. My son lost his life over a text message.
Can you imagine living with the guilt of having killed another human being? How did this impact his employer, his co-workers, his family and friends? These are tough questions, but we have to ask them. None of us wants to believe that this could be us. We don't want to think about what it would be like to be the driver responsible for taking the life of another person. But if we make ourselves think about it, maybe it will change our behavior. Maybe we will think twice before taking our attention off of our driving to respond to something that could wait long enough for us to stop, pull over, get into a safe situation, then make that necessary call, send that message, or respond to that request. Taking responsibility for your own behavior while driving is critical. But what about the actions of other drivers? If you see another vehicle moving erratically, maybe swerving in a lane or crossing over lanes unintentionally, that is an indication that the driver may be distracted. Obviously, you cannot change another driver's behavior, but you must be keenly aware of how others around you are driving. Keep a safe distance away from that driver, and do not attempt to pass that vehicle until you can do so safely. When you get behind the wheel, your focus is on your driving. Distracted driving kills. Distractions aren't going to go away. As a matter of fact, all indications are that they will continue to grow. As technology advances, so does the potential for things to take our attention away from the road. It is more important than ever to remind ourselves, when we get behind the wheel, job number one is to drive safely. Observe your own behavior. Are there distractions taking your focus away from the road? What are those distractions, and how are you responding to them? Are you in too much of a hurry to stop and get into a safe situation before you respond to a messaging request? Or to safely enter the delivery address into your nav system? How frequently have you had to brake urgently or swerve to miss hitting another vehicle or object? Do you frequently drive with a passenger? How is your focus affected when another person is along with you? Are you truly focused when driving at all times? We all know we can do better. Navigation systems are one of the distractors we may have. If we are trying to drive while keying in a destination, we are definitely driving distracted. Many built-in nav systems have an automatic feature that does not allow the driver to use them while the vehicle is moving. That's perfect. With this anti-distraction feature, we are automatically prevented from distraction. Now, if we could only have this feature for all of our distractions, of course, that may not happen anytime soon.
My little brother Bobby was riding in the car with his best friend. His best friend was driving. They pulled out into the intersection and a semi plowed right into them. And his best friend was killed instantly on impact. We found out that the driver of the semi was actually playing with his navigation system, inputting the address of where he was going, not paying attention to the road. And they had to airlift my brother, sorry. They had to airlift him to the nearest hospital. And he was pretty much brain dead. The doctor said that he was brain dead, so all the family kind of rallied around him, and we were all there and just telling him kind of how much we loved him. And I was holding his hand, telling him I love him, and he's like one of my best friends, and I just can't believe that he's gone. Someone was so careless to just be putting in navigation, and he wasn't paying attention to the road. He should have been looking at the road, and he would have seen him, but he didn't, and he's gone. My brother's gone, and I'll never see him again, ever. If could have been avoided, my brother still could be here, but he's not.